Hello everyone.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. Um, Good evening, regulatory affairs enthusiasts. Welcome to your live broadcast. If you're looking to take your skills to the next level, you're in the right place. The Academic League for Regulatory Affairs is a student organization founded at the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences at the University of São Paulo, and since 2021, we have been working to promote technical improvement in the legislation and regulation of various industries, as well as to create connections between students and professionals from various fields of uh, knowledge. Meet Cecilia Caminoa, our guest today. Um, she's uh, she's a biotechnologist and molecular biologist and has vast knowledge in the agri-biotech industry. She has 12 years of experience in regulatory affairs, and that makes her an authority in this field. So today, she will share her remarkable story and insights, including how she became an international manager in regulatory affairs. Get ready to be inspired and sit back, relax, tune in as we explore this exciting world of regulatory affairs with our guest speaker. And before we start, for LAR members, remember to fill the attendance list. If you are a listener and would like to receive a certificate of attendance, remember to fill the list as well. The list will be sent in the YouTube chat. So now the floor is yours. Ceci, you can start now.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen right now. Well, hello again. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I want to first express my gratitude to Giovanna and Gustavo for the invitation. Today, I'm going to tell you about myself, my background, and a little bit about my story that led me to be working in the regulatory affairs area. If you have any questions during my presentation, please place them in the chat so Giovanna and Gustavo can let me know, okay? Well, my name is Cecilia Caminoa. I'm Argentinian, born in Buenos Aires, in La Plata City. Years old. I have a degree in biotechnology and molecular biology and a specialization in quality management. I've been working in the agri-biotech industry for the last 12 years, and I'm currently developing as Reg Affairs Manager for the seeds industry. Well, since I was little, I've always been a curious person, attentive to what others had to say or teach. I've always been a good student who enjoyed learning and doing new things. I practiced several sports that led me to become a personal trainer later on. I'm also fond of arts. I used to sing a little bit and dance salsa. And of course, science is one of my favorites. When I grew up, I had to choose a career, and I wasn't quite decided as there was nothing I was not interested in. So I decided to start from the beginning. So the origin of life was a great kickoff. I really enjoyed my career and the times of student. I had the privilege to live in my hometown with my parents, which was not the reality of most of the students back then, as they had to leave their homes to be living near universities. And later on, as part of graduation requirements, I had to decide a degree thesis topic. I found an open spot in a biochemical lab to support the development of molecular biology tools in the study of neurodegenerative diseases. And let me tell you that writing a thesis after a 2 year study was quite of a challenge. When I finished my degree in 2011, I started looking for a job in a related area. I thought that the process was going to take forever, to be honest with you, but if 15 days later, more or less, I was hired to work in a clinical research organization, which was called Parexel. The office was located 200 kilometers from my hometown, so this time I had to take my luggage and start a journey to the next chapter of my life. While I was being bombarded with a lot of concepts, acronyms, and computer based trainings of the health industry, I received a phone call saying that I had been granted a scholarship for a course regarding Argentinian regulation for plant genetically modified organisms. I've always been a plant lover, and transgenic plants always called my attention. So I remember I told my mom, Mom, I know that if I take this course, I'll get to work in Monsanto, a company I was very fond of back then. And that's what I did. I quit my job, and 3 months later, I was working in Monsanto as a young professional within the regulatory affair areas of row crops. Reg affairs was a totally new world to me. I quickly understood that it was not only about complying with local regulations, it was about supporting several areas from early phases of R&D to post-commercial activities within the business to, of course, ensure the license to operate. I had to understand regional requirements to work in favor of compliance and global criteria harmonization. It also involved technical writing activities, formal and proper communications, quality management systems, company advocacy, and regulatory outreach, among others. A few years later, after having achieved the senior role in Reg Affairs, I decided to leave Monsanto to join Bayer for a stewardship manager role opportunity. I don't know if you're all aware of it, but stewardship covers the entire life cycle of a product, including reg affairs as part of non-authorized activities. Joining stewardship was a key moment in my life as I had to lead the implementation of a global program in a region without having direct reports, so it was a true leadership by influence challenge. In August 2018, BASF purchased Bayer Seeds business, so I became a BASF employee, keeping the same role. 4.5 years later, a dear friend of mine left the company, leaving an open position in regulatory affairs, but this time a leadership position with direct reports. So the curiosity bug started rumbling in my head, and a month later, I was back in regulatory affairs, but in a very different position. Now, 2 years later, working in Reg Affairs, I can tell you that its horizons are very broad. They require a deep knowledge and constant update and follow up. So, depending on your interests, it offers great development opportunities. In my case, I've chosen the leadership path, which adds an extra challenge to management roles, and for me, brings extra joy. Of course, all of this was only possible through culture of work and effort and constant training during my professional life. I'm going to check if there are questions so far. Any questions? Okay, I'll continue. Well, all the things I have experienced have been possible through a good balance between all the roles that I had in my life. Since I was born, I became a daughter, a sister, later on an auntie, a friend, a scientist woman, a life partner, a mother, and a teammate, and then team leader. This is, I think, a very important matter as humans are defined as social beings. Having this proper balance and knowing you have people by your side, I think is a happiness insurance. Because for me, success is a consequence of happiness, not the other way around. And besides, in my case, one of my drives in life are my dear ones. And now I want to share with you a few tips that I consider that have been crucial in my professional life. I think we all must have a clear vision of what we want and what we don't want. At least I think it's a good start to know what we don't want, so we can scratch that from the list. If we want something, we must prepare for it. Only someone who is well prepared can improvise. I also think that we must take action and not just stay in the idea. If you want to win the lottery, you have to buy the ticket. I also think that networking is fundamental in the professional sphere and it opens a lot of doors. I think you also need to think of life like a trial and error, and really don't be afraid of making mistakes or saying I don't know. It's part of life, and you're not born with knowing, so it's totally normal. Um, I encourage you to be authentic and honest with yourself and with others, and this also helps you to be happy. We need to embrace diversity of thoughts. I encourage you also to gather with people that are totally different to you. It will make you will allow you to change differently and to have new ideas and to listen new ways of seeing life. I also think that unity is a strength. That is why I really value teamwork. I strongly believe that humbleness and resilience are key virtues that we must foster. And I think that we need to learn as much languages as we can. And I really recommend you to learn English because, again, it's a door opener. Well, and now I want you to tell me what do you think these people have in common? I don't know if you know all of them, but we have a lot of Nobel Prizes here, musicians, actors, one aviator, football player, jazzists. Um, now I'm going to see the chats for your feedback. Gio and Gus, if you help me with this, what do you think these people have in common?
People were
You can
saying they
write it in
have
the chat as well.
no idea.
Influence. What else? Come on, be brave. Curious. Yeah. New ideas. Yes. Charismatic. Yeah. What else? They are successful in their fields. That is true. They are good at their jobs. They pursue their goals. Excellent. Great feedback. Now I'm going to tell you what I think they have. I think that they have passion work or how they perform. I think that there's a big difference between working hard for something we don't care, that is usually called stress, and working for something uh, for what we love, and that is called passion. Okay, so I really encourage to be passionate about what you do as well. Well, now I'm going to explain you what we do at Rega First within the seed industry. But first, I would like to explain a few concepts that will allow you to have more context. Okay? Well, you probably heard about biotechnology, right? I told you that I'm a biotechnologist and molecular biologist, so I'm really passionate about biotechnology. Here you can see three pictures. Probably you know all of them. One is bread, right? The other is beer, that as you can see comes from the times of the Egypts. The other ones are dairy products, yogurts, cheese. And what do they have in common? Well, they are biotechnological products. So, what is biotechnology? Biotechnology is the deliberate and controlled use of biological agents, whether living beings, their cells, or cellular components, for the application in technical processes aimed at manufacturing products or obtaining services. Any technique that uses living organisms to make products is biotechnology. And what's the difference between regular biotechnology and modern biotechnology? Modern biotechnology incorporates the genetic engineering tools that allow to isolate genes and modify the genetic map of living organisms to be used in biotechnological processes. Basically, genetic engineering allows to design organisms to develop new and revolutionary processes impossible to achieve by traditional ways. For example, here we have two examples. From 1997, we have Tracy the sheep, that was the first transgenic animal to produce a recombinant protein drug in her milk. And we have a recent news about Philippines, who has approved commercial use of genetically engineered rice that has high quantities of vitamin A, which is very needed in those areas. Well, and here you can see a picture that is a good summary of what biotech crops do we have and where. As you can see here, US is the largest producer of biotech crops in the world and has 37.6% of global biotech crop area. Brazil is the top developing country in the world planting biotech crops, and we have 10 additional countries in Latam that plant biotech crops. For example, Canada has 95% of biotech canola. Spain is the leading country planting biotech maize. We also have 6 million farmers planting biotech cotton in India. And as you can see, a lot of other countries in the world that plant a lot of different biotech crops. And what do we mean with biotech crops? These genetically modified organisms that we probably heard. And here you can see a picture of a lot of them. For example, transgenic or GMO wheats and canola. Well, and this is very important to understand the context of these, to pay attention to the definitions. There is a protocol, which is this Cartagena Protocol of Biosafety to the Convention of Biological Diversity, that was adopted in January 2000, and it's a protocol that it's an international agreement which aims to ensure the safe handling, transport, and use of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology. So remember, modern biotechnology concept that may have adverse effects on the conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity, taking also into account risk of human health and focusing especially on transboundary movements. This international agreement has 173 countries that are part of it, of 194 in the world. So imagine this a lot of countries are agree with this protocol. Okay, what does this protocol say? It has an article, which is article number 3, which are the use of terms that defines what is a living modified organisms. And it says that it means any living organism that possesses a novel combination of genetical material obtained through the use of modern biotechnology. So, this is very important. Remember what is modern biotechnology, okay? And how the protocol defines it. It says that modern biotechnology means the application of in vitro nucleic acid techniques, including recombinant DNA, and direct injection of nucleic acid into cells or organelles. Okay, so all these countries, that had 173, agree that this is a living modified organism and this is modern biotechnology. Okay, what happens? We have an example. We have the example of the USA and the Food Drug Administration that defines a GMO in their web page and say that a genetically modified organism is a plant, animal, or microorganism that has had its genetic material changed using technology that generally involves the specific modification of DNA, including the transfer of a specific DNA from one organism to the other. Okay, so the FDA definition incorporates transgenesis, which is the transfer of one gene from one organism to the other, within their definition. And they differentiate what it is genetic engineering from other genome editing tools. So basically, they say that a GMO is an organism that has been modified by genetic engineering. And this genetic engineering incorporates the fact of transfers of genes between different organisms. Okay? And genome editing is a totally different method that allows to modify specifically DNA in a more easy and quick way. Okay? And let's see Argentina. Argentina basically has the same definition that is written in the Cartagena Protocol. Okay? And what about Canada? Canada is different as well because they say that a plant with a novel trait is a plant that contains traits, a trait is a characteristic, which is both new to the Canadian environment and has the potential to affect the specific use and safety of the plant with respect to the environment. And these traits or characteristics can be introduced using biotechnology, mutagenesis, or conventional breeding. So you have a totally different definition here. So they think that everything that was obtained by biotechnology is a novel trait, as well as anything created through conventional breeding, I mean, without modifying anything in their DNA, or also by mutagenesis, that is like random mutations in the DNA. So, as you can see in these just three examples of these 173 countries, their definitions are totally different, okay? Even though they signed the same agreement. So that brings us to the regulatory context, okay? All biotech crops must go through different deregulation processes in each country in order to obtain commercial approval. Until then, they are considered regulated. There are several factors that bring complexity to international trade. The first relies on the fact that regulations are different in all different countries in the world, causing asynchronous and asymmetric approvals to occur. So, as you can see, regulations in different countries are totally different, so that brings a lot of complexity. Asynchronous occur because approval times do not match. While in some countries approvals are achieved in months, in others it takes years. However, asymmetries occur because the types of approval are different. For example, one technology is approved for animal and human consumption, what we usually call food and feed approval, as well as for cultivation in one country, while the same is not yet approved for any use in other country and only for cultivation in a different one. Another complexity consists of the differences in low-level presence and adventitious presence policy. Low-level presence is when a country detects low levels of a biotechnological technology which does not have regulatory approval in that country, but which has been approved in at least one country in the world. Adventitious presence, however, is when an intended technology hasn't been approved, that doesn't have an approval in that country, hasn't been approved in any country of the world. Okay? Which are our goals from a regulatory affairs perspective? We need to be constantly updated regarding current regulations. We need to ensure compliance with those regulations as well. We need to obtain harmonized and timely approvals, as I previously mentioned. We need to ensure license to operate for regulatory activities. And this means interacting with multiple stakeholders and a lot of people from R&D, early phases of R&D to post-commercial. We need to be always one step ahead in order to mitigate risk associated to non-approved technologies. This is very important. We need to be very vigilant of these activities. And what about what we do, specifically our day-to-day activities? We define the strategy of all these activities that we need to really plan in advance. We even have people within regulatory affairs groups that are exclusively dedicated for strategy definition. We need to maintain our QMS, our quality management system, and this is very important because all of our activities need to be ordered and everything that we do needs to be traceable. Okay, we seek for technologies deregulations. This means presenting dossiers. That's what we call, which is a pile of documents that allow the different regulatory agencies in the world to demonstrate that our products are safe for the environment, for consumption, for food and feed, I mean, we need to be able to feed animals and feed our children and ourselves, knowing that those products are safe. And we also need to show that these products are important for commerce. We also perform cultivar registration. This is once the technologies have been deregulated and can be commercialized, we need to register them in order to be able to sell them. We also manage biological international movements. It's part of the regulatory affairs role. We also have to work with post-commercial regulatory requirements. For example, once the technology has been deregulated, we have obligations. For example, when we have technologies that are insect resistance, to perform incident resistance management programs. We also communicate with regulatory agencies. We are the contact points for every activity that we have. And we also participate in associations and committees or industry groups regarding all the topics that I have been mentioning. Well, I hope you have a clear scenario of what we do. And I'm saying goodbye with one last message, a quote from Albert Einstein that says, that he used to say, I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please address them in the chat. I'm starting reading.
Mm. Just a minute, Ceci.
Just a
We are
minute.
Cecilia, I
translating.
perceive that you have a
Mm.
long career as scientist before starting in the industry. How it was the transition uh, between areas for me? Um, you mean I probably think that you mean from reg affairs to stewardship, right? I'm coming also from the um, research part as well. Um, Transitions are complicated, always. But in particular, in my case, I'm a change lover. So I enjoy transitions and being able to do different things. Um, so I think that it may is the first that comes to my mind that they weren't that difficult to me, but of course that depends on the person, right? Sorry for the ones who don't speak English. Eu falo um pouquinho de português, mas ainda eu tenho que melhorar. Um, mas posso se compreender um pouquinho. Um, uh, Good afternoon. I would like to know what is the reason uh, of molecular biology for the biotech industry or pharmaceutical. Which are the opportunities within that area? A lot. Um, Hi, Gio. I can see you for the first time. Mm, you have a lot of for reference in the pharmaceutical industry. As I mentioned, that was my first job. I started working in the pharmaceutical industry, and they are very broad. I'm a pharmacist student. I'm in my first year because after I finished my first degree in biotechnology, I continued my studies in pharmacy. Um, and there are a lot of opportunities. mainly, it's very easy to enter these clinical research organizations that I mentioned, where you can develop a lot from that perspective, and of course, as well, in more related to research areas. We have another question that says, yes, regarding the work opportunities for students in these areas, yeah, there are lots. In particular, BASF, Bayer, Monsanto, a lot of multinational companies. Now, well, Monsanto is Bayer. They have trainees programs where they hire trainees. Um, for different development opportunities. So I encourage you to be vigilant on these searches that we have in in all the companies, and to apply for the different trainee programs that are available. And the requirements, that depends. I mean, every company has particular requirements. Um, Usually, what is required is to have a degree ongoing on, of course, related areas based on what they are asking. You don't need to have your career finished yet, because they are programs for students. And I think that it's very important, the attitude that you have and your soft skills as well, not only the your performance as a student at university. Um,
Now we have a
As
lot of
someone who is
questions from
working in
Gil.
the agrotech industry, how do you see the field evolving in the coming years? And what do you see as the most important developments or trends to watch for? Um, Very interesting question. I think that, yeah, the agrobiotech industry is evolving a lot. I think that there are a lot of challenges regarding new breeding techniques, these gene editing tools that I mentioned that are part of the FDA definitions. Um, this is growing. It's an area that is being developed and is under discussion, but will bring a lot of challenges to the agri-biotech industry. And transgenic traits, of course, they will continue being developed. And you probably know that there are not a lot of companies that in the agri-biotech industry. We are less and less through the years, so that is also challenging. Um, and I think I answer most of the questions. I don't know, if not, please let me know.
Yes,
And
thank you.
you're welcome. How was your background in biotechnology and molecular biology help you in your current role as an international manager in regulatory affairs area? Um, I think it helped me a lot, and not being an agronomist gave me an advantage, because I could complement all the knowledge that agronomist gave me. I had to learn a lot from an agronomy perspective. Um, but I think that having the other part from biotechnology allowed me to have a broad thinking of the industry. Another
Thank
question.
you. Very interesting.
You're welcome. Could you tell us about a particularly challenging project or experience you faced in your career and how you overcome it? Yes, I have a lot, but I think the most significant one
Just a second, we're having some technical problems.
Ceci, we're not listening you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Could you please answer the question again?
Yeah, sorry. I think I lost my connection, my audio connection.
Don't worry.
Um, No, I was telling you that a challenging project that I had was when I became a stewardship manager. Because having to lead a program without reports in a very big region with a lot of stakeholders is very difficult, because what you really need to achieve is to inspire people and to convince them that what you need is the best way for everybody. And that it was really, really challenging. Um, I don't know if we have more questions or if I have addressed all of them. If not, please let me know. Thank you for the ones who are.
Yeah,
As a
thank you
leader
so
in your
much.
field, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting their career in reg affairs? Um, my advice for someone who's just starting uh, is for one of the ones that I share with you is don't be afraid of making mistakes. Um, pay attention to people who are around you who can give you advice. Um, read a lot. You really need to get and to be able to learn all the technical part. Um, you need to be constantly updated on the area and the field. You need to participate. Um, Also, I mentioned networking. That's very important. Speak with whoever you can to learn more and to get a broader knowledge, um, and be curious, as I mentioned. You talk about working with people who have different kinds of thoughts. Do you have any tips on how to deal in a totally different environment, different people, and make the best out of this challenge? Yes. I think you need empathy. I think is the key. You need to be able to be in other people's shoes. And one thing I learned this year is not only that you don't have to do things that you wouldn't like that people make you, but you need to do things that people want. Well, people want. So, my advice is get to know the people you are that is working with you. Listen to them, try to understand them, spend time with them, not only for work, for other things. And that is the only way you really get to know people and you can create trust. And when you create trust, uh, you're comfortable, you can exchange different thoughts, and people will be open to tell you what they really think.
Thank you, Ceci.
You're welcome.
Well, what message would you like to leave with our audience today?
My message would be, as I said, be passionate about what you do. Do don't stay in your ideas. Like execute. That is very important. Um, be nice, uh, because it's the way that you'll always be supported by someone, and you'll have someone by your side always. Be happy and try to work in reg affairs because it's very, very interesting and a very complete area for you to develop.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And um, I hope you I hope you enjoyed people. Remember to fill out the attendance list and have a nice weekend. And thank you so much for attending this event.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank,
Have a nice day.
thank you so much.